Tanya, page 91. There we go, page 91. So, holding in Igeres Hakodesh, Epistle 28, Friday the 17th of Cheshvan. Overview of Epistle 28, the parallel between the passing of tzaddikim, saintly Jews, and the mitzvah of Parah Aduma. What is the connection between the two? A mitzvah of red heifer, both of them having the capacity to atone and cleanse the effect of willful sin, which is far greater transformation than any other atonement. For example, the sacrifices. We all know that the sacrifices are atoning for sins that were done inadvertently, and Parah Aduma, the red heifer, and the passing of a tzaddik is atoning also for sins that were done intentionally, במזיד. So Epistle 28, מה שכתב למחותנו הרב הגאון המפורסם, איש אלוקים קדוש ישראל, קדוש השם, נר ישראל, עמוד האמוני, פטיש החזק. The letter that was written by the Alter Rebbe to his relative by marriage, the famous Rabbi and Gaon, the godly man, the holy man of God, lamp of Israel, pillar of the right hand, mighty hammer. That's all the descriptions that were given to Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Bardicho. Our master, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, may his soul rest in Eden, head of the rabbinical court of the holy community of Bardicho. לנחמו על פטירת בנו הרב החסיד מורנו ורבינו הרב מאיר נשמתו עדן. To console him on the passing of his son, the pious Rabbi, Rabbi Meir, may his soul rest in Eden. So the son of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Bardichov passed away, and the Alter Rebbe is sending to him a consolement. למה נסמכה פרשת מרים לפרשת פרה? He says, why is in the Torah the passage concerning the passing of Miriam adjoined to the passage concerning the red heifer? In other words, it says Parah Aduma, it says the story about passing of Miriam, and right after, the Torah commends us the concept of red heifer. The Torah tells us about the red heifer. Why they're both next to each other? לומר לך מה פרה מכפרת, to teach you just as the red heifer affects atonement, so does the passing of the righteous affect atonement. Commencing on this quotation from the Gemara, Tosfos explains that the red heifer atones for the sin of the golden calf. And in the same way, the passing of the righteous affect atonement. Tzorich la'avin, we need to understand, lama nismecho davka leforah aduma. Needs to be understood why the passage concerning the passing of Miriam, the sister of Moshe and Aaron, was adjoined specifically to the passage concerning the red heifer. Why they are next to each other? Anais achutz sholosh machnos, ela dechatos kari rachmon anais b'chutz, which was prepared outside the three camps, and as such was not a sacrifice proper, except that the Torah tells us, the Torah calls it a sin offering. This was done outside the three camps, the Machane Shekhinah, the camp of divine presence, Machane Leviyah, the camp of the Levites, and outside of Machane Israel as well. Outside all these three camps, they did the procedure that was done with the red heifer. And it was not adjoined to the passage concerning the sin offering that was prepared within, on the altar, and as such affects actual atonement. So seemingly, Parah Aduma should have been adjoined to Korban Chatos, that when the Torah tells us about a sin offering that was done for, that provided or affected actual atonement. So in other words, instead of being next to the red heifer, instead of being close to the passing of Miriam, should have been close to the portion where the Torah tells us about the sin offering. Why? Because they both atone. Now, the mystical principle of the sacrifices offered on the altar is known from the sacred Zohar and from Rabbi Yitzchak Luria of blessed memory. Ein Bechinat, what is the korbanot? What is the secret? What is the mystical principle behind the offerings? Ein Bechinat alat mayim nukvim min nefesh ba'amit shebenoga. There are an intense of the elevation of mayim nukvim. What is mayim nukvim? Right, the instance, they are an instance of the elevation of mayim nukvim. What is mayim nukvim? It says it's feminine waters, a mortally initiated spiritual arousal deriving from the animal soul, which receives its life force from klipat noga. So it's elevation from below, mortally initiated. We're initiating the spiritual arousal, and ultimately, where does it come from? From the animal soul, which receives its life force from klipat noga. El shorshanu mekoran. This elevation ascending to the root and source. Ein bechinot, what is the root and source of klipat noga? Ein bechinot daled chayot shemerkavan osot hakiseh, the forms of the 4 animals of the celestial chariot which bear the throne, as described in Ezekiel chapter 1. Pnei sho ufnei nesho v'chulu, the face of the ox, the face of the eagle, and so on. The former level of divinity is the source of the souls of all animals, and the latter is the source of the souls of all birds, these being the 2 categories of creatures from which offering are brought. So we have Pnei Nesher, the face of the ox, which is the source of all the animals, and we have Pnei Nesher, which is the source of all the birds. As results of reciprocating this arousal, the main duchrin, the male waters from the benefactor above, are elicited and descend from the level of divinity called in Ezekiel the men upon the throne. Adam she'al hakiseh, the men upon the throne, who is also referred to as Malka, king, and Zeranpin, the bracket of 6 masculine attributes preceding the recipient or feminine sephira of Malchus. The resultant illumination flows down to the world and becomes vested and integrated within it. Hence, as mentioned above, offerings are termed food for the altar, for they draw down a level of divine light which can be spiritually ingested. As for the burning of the red heifer, however, it is on account of the throwing of the cedar wood and the hyssop, and so on, part of the ingredients that were thrown into the fire, the function of both of which is hamshacha, a drawing down sanctity from above, and moreover the placing of running water into the ashes, nikra b'shem kiddush mei chatat b'mishnah, that in the Mishnah this process is called the sanctification kiddush of the purifying waters. V'hu b'chinat kodesh ha'elyon nikra b'shem talad devdulcha. This relates not only etymologically to kodesh ha'elyon, the supreme sanctity, referred to the talad devdulcha. Talad devdulcha means the dew of the bdolach, the Torah description of the man. That's how the Torah described the man. Tells us it's talad bdolcha. Unlike the heavenly benefactions that are termed rain, for rain results from an arousal from below, as it is written, and a vapor rose from the ground and watered. In other words, the rain is initiated from below. There is an ed, there is a vapor that rises up, and it creates rain. When it comes to the talad divdolcha, comes to like the same idea as for the man, the above described dew is a spontaneous arousal from above that transcends dependence on any antecedent arousal from below. In other words, it's arousal from above, the dew that transcends any kind of elevation that comes from below. Has nothing to do with what we do with us. It's arousal from above. It is not dependent on us, which is much higher than anything that we can produce or we can create. כמו שכתוב בזוהר הקדוש הוא בחינת חוכמה אלה ומוחסת עמה דאריך אנפין. The stated in Sacred Zohar, this talat d'vdulcha is an expression of the supreme chokhmah and the mochastima of arich anpin. It is the level of chokhmah within Keter which entirely transcends the world. ועלי יתמר בדוכתי טובה בזוהר הקדוש בחוכמה יתברירו. Of this level of chokhmah and mochastima, it is said in many places in the Sacred Zohar that through chokhmah they are refined and rectified. And then, when by means of the sanctification of the purifying water, divine light is drawn down from this level, darkness is converted to light, that is, to the world of tikkun, which becomes refined and rectified by means of the mochastima, the concealed wisdom of arich anpin, which arich anpin is the external level of keser. The world of tikkun is refined and rectified from the world of tohu, and the breaking of the vessels whose sparks fell into the world of bria, yetzira, and asiya, and so on. Kanoda, as is known, the spiritual task of the Jew is to extract, refine, and elevate these sparks. These sparks, this is why the red heifer purifies one from defilement, being impure, contracted by contact with a corpse, even though this corpse is the ultimate degree of impurity and far, far lower than Noga. For the sanctification of the purifying waters, which is done by the red heifer, is drawn down from the supreme chokhmah and the mochastima of arich anpin, an illumination that transcends the world so utterly that it is able to transform the world's darkness into light. So in two words, it tells us that through the red heifer and through the passing of tzaddikim, there is such revelation from above that we are able to atone, this revelation is able to atone the transgressions that were done intentionally, because they are rooted much superior level, mechostima, the concealed wisdom, arich anpin, and so on. These levels are not dependent on what we do and how we do it. Therefore, they can able to come from above and correct everything that needs to be corrected. Let's do the